Welcome back to my channel, Coin Collectors. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 5-cent Jefferson nickel, also known as the Monticello nickel, a small coin that could be worth big money bag. In this video, we'll explore the iconic Monticello design, the rich history behind the Jefferson nickel, and the hidden treasures many people overlook. We're counting down the top 4 most valuable, expensive, and ultra-rare 5-cent Jefferson nickels ever discovered in U.S. history. You will hear shocking stories from American coin history, learn about rare silver-era nickels, discover unusual color shades and toning, and uncover valuable mint mark varieties from the Philadelphia P and Denver D mints that collectors and investors are actively searching for today. Here's the shocking truth. Even dirty, worn, or seemingly ordinary Jefferson nickels could be worth thousands or even millions of dollars exploding head. So before you spend that old nickel, stick around, because you might be holding a fortune in your hands. Backhand index pointing right. Let's begin with coin number 1. American numismatics. The 1943 P. Jefferson nickel occupies a space that feels mystical. It is a coin born of war, struck under extraordinary circumstances, and today it commands the dreams of collectors and treasure hunters around the world. This is not just about a nickel. This is about 100 stories rolled into one, a coin that could, in the rarest of condition and variations, lift someone from ordinary life to unimaginable fortune. The story begins in the early 1940s, at a time when the United States was fully immersed in World War II. Unlike most nations, America had not seen war on its own soil since the Civil War, yet the global conflict now threatened everything. The entire nation shifted toward support of the war effort. Factories retooled to make tanks and aircraft. Rationing touched the lives of ordinary families, and the economy pulsed with urgency in this world of sacrifice and adaptation. Even coins, the everyday money of the people, were changed by war. Before the war, the standard Jefferson nickel was made of a mixture of copper and nickel. Nickel metal was essential for wartime production, especially for armor plating and other military uses. So in 1942, the U.S. Mint made a bold decision. It would temporarily change the composition of the 5-cent piece. The coin would remain recognizable, featuring the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the iconic 3-story Monticello on the reverse. But the metal itself would now be silver, combined with manganese and copper, a new alloy designed to conserve valuable nickel for the war machine. This wartime alloy nickel was strikingly different in appearance, lighter in color, almost gleaming like a small, bright silver disc amidst the other coins in circulation. To consumers at the time, it was unusual but acceptable. Coins must change with the times when a nation is at war. And yet, even at the moment of their release into circulation, no one could have predicted the reverence these pieces would hold decades later. Most of the wartime nickels were struck in 3 mint facilities. Philadelphia, no mint mark, since Philadelphia coins of this era did not carry one. Denver D, and San Francisco S. Among these, the Philadelphia pieces, the 1943 P wartime nickels, remain particularly fascinating to collectors. Many survive today because these coins were common at the time, spent and circulated like any other nickel, passed into the hands of GIs, homemakers, clerks, and school children alike. But some survived in exceptional condition, tucked away in rolls, hidden in drawers, or preserved by collectors who recognized their uniqueness early on. Over the years, collectors noticed that certain 1943 P wartime nickels appeared incredibly well preserved, coins that looked almost as if they had never been spent, bearing crisp details of Jefferson's portrait and a clean, bright Monticello on the reverse. In coin collecting, condition matters greatly. A coin that shows little to no wear is dramatically more valuable than one worn smooth by circulation. These survivors, often described as uncirculated or mint state, began to draw intense interest at coin shows and auctions. Yet the story is not simply about survival. It's about rarity inside survival, unique anomalies, and a magical possibility that one coin could be so unusual that it holds astronomical value. Because while countless wartime nickels were made, only a tiny number of them exist today in superb gem condition, free of the dents, scratches, and wear marks that ordinary circulation leaves behind. Among these, some extremely rare examples, perhaps a handful worldwide, have survived in what collectors call PR65 or higher proof-like uncirculated condition, meaning every element of the design still gleams with life, all the way down to the finest lines in Jefferson's coat and the tiny bricks of Monticello. Imagine discovering such a piece locked away for decades under old newspapers or in the bottom of a dresser drawer, untouched, uncatalogued, unknown. For many collectors, this is the very definition of a treasure hunt. The thrill is not merely in finding a rare coin, but in stumbling upon the one that has eluded the eyes of every collector for a lifetime. In that moment, a single coin, that small round piece of silver-colored metal, could be worth tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even beyond, depending on its condition and uniqueness. But what truly pushes the 1943 P. Jefferson wartime nickel into the realm of near-mythic value are the stories and rumors of extraordinary specimens, examples so pristine, so dramatically perfect, that when they come to auction, the bidders lock eyes with one another and the price soars into the stratosphere. Imagine an auction room hushed with tension, paddles raised, wealthy collectors competing in silent warfare, each willing to outbid the last because of the promise of owning something rare beyond measure. In that setting, a coin that once would have bought a loaf of bread or paid for a newspaper now commands a price that reshapes lives. Of course, not every 1943 P nickel is worth enormous sums. Most carry modest premiums over face value, especially if worn from circulation. Dirt, scratches, and environmental damage do not create value by themselves. In fact, collectors often grimace at signs of artificial cleaning, because harsh polishing or abrasive treatment can destroy the delicate surface details that make rare coins beautiful and valuable. True value lies in original surfaces, untouched by artificial intervention, their patina telling a story of decades, even centuries. But within this reality lies a dream that fuels coin enthusiasts and treasure seekers everywhere. The dream that somewhere, asleep in a forgotten coin album or hidden in a jar of loose change, is that one perfect 1943 P. Jefferson wartime nickel, the coin that could change everything. The moment you whisper its date, and mint mark is the moment you hold history itself. The 1944 P. Jefferson nickel is one such coin, born in an era of great upheaval at the height of World War II, yet emerging into the modern world as both a reminder of the past and a dream for those who chase treasure. To hold a Jefferson nickel from 1944 is to hold the echoes of an age when the world teetered between destruction and hope. It is to feel the invisible threads that connect ordinary life to the extraordinary turns of history, and perhaps even to the possibility of unimaginable fortune. In the early 1940s, America was fully mobilized for war. The nation's factories hummed night and day, producing tanks, aircraft, ammunition, machines of steel and fire that would cross oceans and reshape battlefields. Every resource was strained. Every material was precious. Nickel metal, in particular, was critical for armor plating and other wartime production. The government made a bold decision to conserve nickel for essential war infrastructure, and in 1942 the United States Mint fundamentally changed the composition of its 5-cent coins. Instead of the familiar nickel-copper alloy, wartime nickels were struck from an alloy containing silver, copper, and manganese, a unique blend designed to free up nickel for the war effort. These coins gleam with a brighter hue, almost silver in tone, and they circulated across the country like tiny tokens of a world in transformation. By 1943 and into 1944, these wartime silver nickels were everywhere, in pay envelopes, cash registers, and the pockets of everyday Americans. They bought streetcar rides, candy, newspapers, and breakfast at diners bustling with servicemen on leave. In battle camps and training bases, soldiers jangled these coins in their pockets, perhaps not knowing what small legacy they would carry forward in time. And as people spent these nickels in everyday life, few could imagine that decades later, some of them would be prized so fiercely by collectors that they would command remarkable sums of money. But what makes a coin like the 1944 P. Jefferson nickel so deeply fascinating, and for some, so potentially life-changing, is not just its date or its connection to wartime material changes, but the rare and almost mystical possibility that one surviving example could be in such exceptional condition that it transcends ordinary value. Most coins, by their nature, wear down over time. They pick up scratches, accumulate dirt, lose luster, and become familiar artifacts of everyday circulation. But some coins, through pure chance, escape heavy wear. They slip into a collector's album, remain hidden in a forgotten drawer, or are carefully preserved by someone who appreciated their uniqueness long before the world discovered their potential worth. In the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, condition is everything. A coin that shows crisp details, vibrant surfaces, and no signs of circulation is called mint state. A coin that has been untouched by harsh cleaning or abrasive polishing, with its original surface patina still intact, is treasured even more. For the 1944 P. Jefferson nickel, a coin that has survived more than 80 years with its details sharp, its fields bright, and its edges firm, is not just rare, it is astonishingly rare. And in numismatic auctions, such coins have drawn intense interest and powerful bids. To understand this better, imagine this. In a dusty attic, under years of forgotten belongings, lies an old tin full of loose coins, pennies, dimes, quarters, and among them a nickel that seems somehow brighter. The finder wipes away the grime and sees the date, 1944. There is something different about the metal, a slight silver sheen amid the familiar copper tones of other coins. Has time stood still for this coin? Could it be one that survived without heavy circulation? Was it tucked away by someone who recognized its uniqueness decades ago? The heart begins to race, the imagination ignites, and a dream unfolds. Perhaps this is a coin that could change everything. Because in the rarefied world of high-end coin collecting, certain examples of the 1944 P. wartime Jefferson nickel, especially those graded at the top levels by professional services, have sold for prices that make ordinary collectors gasp. Auction rooms fall silent as bidders raise paddles, intense faces locked in silent competition. These are not casual transactions. They are moments when history meets wealth in spectacular fashion. A coin that once bought a sandwich could, in the right circumstances, sell for a price that equals a luxury car, a comfortable home, or even more. The exact numbers can range widely based on condition, provenance, and collector demand, but when a truly superb example appears, with extraordinary surface quality and exceptional eye appeal, the price can exceed expectations and rewrite the meaning of valuable. The stories that surround these coins are almost mythical. Some say that the rarest, most exceptional 1944 P. nickels, carefully preserved since the moment they were struck, could command figures that seem almost unreal. These coins, uncirculated and breathtakingly well-preserved, are described by collectors as having a glow, a depth, a presence that ordinary coins lack. Under magnification, every tiny detail, the contours of Jefferson's profile, the ridges of his coat, the delicate rendering of Monticello on the reverse, appears crisp and alive, as if frozen in time since the moment of striking. To see such a coin is to feel connected to the past in a visceral way, as though you are touching history itself. Collectors do not simply attach dollar signs to these pieces. They attach emotion, heritage, and deep respect. The 1944 wartime nickels represent more than currency. They are tokens of a nation under strain, tools of everyday life during global crisis, and symbols of endurance. The fact that any have survived at all in exceptional condition is remarkable. The idea that one such coin, preserved through decades of obscurity, could one day walk across an auction block and change someone's financial destiny is what makes the pursuit of rare coins so irresistible to treasure hunters everywhere. But while the dream is powerful, it is important to understand that not every 1944 P. nickel is worth a fortune. Most of these coins, when worn and circulated, are worth modest premiums over face value to collectors. Dirt, scratches, and heavy wear typically reduce a coin's collectible value significantly unless it harbors a rare error or unusual variation. And even then, condition and desirability are everything. A heavily worn coin, no matter how old, rarely surprises anyone with a multi-million-dollar price tag. It is the rare survivors, though seemingly untouched by time, that fuel the imagination and inspire collectors to search every coin jar and old vault they can find. In the modern coin market, grading matters enormously. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on strict criteria, assigning numeric grades that reflect their condition and quality. A 1944 P. nickel judged at a high grade, MS-65, MS-66, or higher, implies that the coin is near perfection. When such coins surface, collectors take notice. Auction results are published, collectors confer, and buzz spreads across numismatic circles. News of a rare, superb 1944 wartime nickel selling for a high record price electrifies the community and inspires others to look again in their own collections for hidden treasures. The 1961 D. Jefferson nickel stands as a silent sentinel of American life, a coin rooted in the everyday bustle of mid-century America, but one that, in extraordinary condition, has sparked the imagination of collectors and treasure hunters around the world. This is the story of how a simple nickel, struck decades ago at the Denver Mint, has the power to whisper tales of fortune, history, and the tantalizing possibility that one coin could change a person's fate overnight. The year was 1961, a year of new beginnings and shifting tides in the United States. It was a time when rock and roll still hummed in diners and drive-ins, families gathered around black and white television sets, and the Cold War shaped everyday conversations. John F. Kennedy had just assumed the presidency, promising a new frontier that inspired hope and ambition in the hearts of nations still standing on the shoulders of wartime victories and peacetime dreams. And in minting facilities across the country, the United States Mint quietly produced coins that would circulate in the hands of millions. Pennies, dimes, quarters, and nickels, including those bearing the famous portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his beloved Monticello on the reverse. These nickels, minted at Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, the D beneath the date, were not extraordinary to most people at the time. They spent the same as any other 5-cent piece, jangled in pockets, fed to vending machines, dropped into piggy banks. But for collectors, even coins in the everyday world hold special lure, especially as the decades roll forward and memories of the era begin to solidify into nostalgia and historical curiosity. The design of the Jefferson nickel is iconic, a dignified profile of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, author of the Declaration of Independence, and architect of Monticello, gazing toward the future. On the reverse, the elegant neoclassical lines of Monticello, his famed Virginia state, symbolizing intellect, craft, and enduring legacy. Over time, these coins serve not just as currency, but as miniature monuments to a uniquely American spirit. Yet tucked within this long and rich lineage of everyday nickels lies a quieter, rarer story. The story of the 1961 D. Jefferson nickel in exceptional condition, coins that have survived decades of circulation with astonishing preservation, coins that seem almost untouched by time, coins that whisper the possibility of hidden value far beyond their face worth. Most 1961 D nickels, like the vast majority of coins minted for circulation, were spent and worn through countless daily transactions. They picked up scratches, lost luster, and faded under the pressure of everyday life. But a small fraction of these coins somehow slipped into obscurity early, tucked away in collections, stored in coin albums, or simply forgotten in the bottom of drawers for generations. These survivors did not endure the grinding friction of everyday commerce. They remained in near-pristine condition, as if frozen at the moment they were struck by the mint's presses. And it is these exceptional survivors that fuel the dreams of collectors and treasure hunters everywhere. In the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, condition matters more than almost anything else. A coin in mint state, with crisp details, original luster, and no trace of wear, is treasured far beyond its face value. It is a piece of history preserved in metal. When collectors evaluate coins, they examine the sharpness of the design, the smoothness of the fields, and the quality of the surfaces that have resisted the ravages of time. A 1961 D nickel that retains its original brilliance, its edges unbattered, its portrait still crisp, is nothing short of remarkable. Imagine a faded cardboard box in an attic, the kind that has lain untouched beneath decades of dust and cobwebs. A faded photograph, a cracked baseball glove, a stack of old bills, and a handful of coins wrapped in tissue paper. Among those coins is a small nickel that glows faintly under the light, its details sharper than expected. The finder wipes away the decades of grime and sees a date and mint mark, 1961 D. In that moment, the heart leaps. Could this be one of those rare survivors? Could this small piece of copper nickel be worth more than anyone imagined? The answer, for some coins, could be yes, especially when collectors see eye appeal that defies age. For decades, There have been tales passed quietly through coin collectors' circles of 1961 D nickels that stunned experts with their condition. These are coins that seem almost new, with original surfaces untouched by the relentless friction of pocket life, with luster so vibrant it seems impossible for a coin of its era. Such pieces have made their way to grading services, where professional examiners evaluate and certify their condition according to strict standards. When a coin receives a high grade, indicating it is exceptionally well preserved, it becomes a candidate for a premium valuation in the collector market. Some of these coins have shown up unexpectedly in estate collections or at yard sales, instantly capturing the imagination of those who recognize their rarity. In the numismatic world, news of a superb 1961 D. Jefferson nickel can spread rapidly. Collectors, dealers, and investors turn their attention to auctions and private sales, where coins in top condition can fetch striking prices. While most 1961 D. nickels remain modest in value, collectible but not extraordinary, the very best examples command prices that can range into the thousands or more, depending on their grade and eye appeal. Why does condition matter so profoundly? Because each coin is a snapshot of a moment in time, a moment when a metal planchet was hammered between dies and forever bore the imprint of that instant. As coins circulate, that imprint softens. The peaks of design wear down, the surfaces collect scratches, the edges lose their crispness. To find a piece that has avoided this erosion is akin to discovering a nearly untouched specimen from a lost age, a coin that still carries the brilliance of its origin, a rare survivor in a world aware. For collectors, coins of this caliber are not simply monetary assets. They are treasures, artifacts, and points of connection to the past. To own a superb 1961 D. Jefferson nickel is to hold a piece of history that few others on earth possess. It is a testament to preservation, chance, and the enduring appeal of American coinage. The thrill of acquiring such a piece can be electric, a heartbeat quickened, a breath held, a long pursuit fulfilled. Yet inherent in all treasure tales is a mix of fantasy and grounding reality. While stories circulate about high-grade 1961 D. nickels commanding surprising prices, it's not the same as the mythic notion of turning a coin into a life-changing fortune overnight. Most coins, even those in excellent condition, fall short of the multi-million-dollar dream that lives in the imagination of many. But the possibility, the immortal possibility, that one coin in just the right condition could astonish the market and secure a rare premium is what drives the passion collectors and drives countless treasure seekers to sift through old change with magnifying glasses and hope in their hearts. The 1961 D. nickels story becomes even more compelling when viewed against the broader backdrop of America's mid-century narrative. These coins walked out of mint windows into a world where next up, the ordinary Jefferson nickel, the everyday 5-cent coin that might jangle in your pocket or sit forgotten in an old jar change, is one such object. To most, it is just pocket change. But to those who know the deeper mysteries of numismatics, the 1962 Jefferson nickel, especially the 1962 no-mint mark version, carries a legacy that is as rich and mysterious as the very history of the United States. In rare, spectacular conditions, this humble coin can be more than currency. It can be a key that unlocks centuries, breathes life into legends, and even whispers that fortune could favor the finder in the blink of an eye. Imagine a warm summer afternoon in 1962. The world stood on the edge of transformation. Radios buzzed with music. Families gathered around televisions, and everyday life marched forward with a familiar rhythm. On sidewalks and in stores across the nation, the Jefferson nickel changed hands countless times, buying ice cream cones, paying phone booth calls, and teasing young children with the promise of nickel for candy. The design was simple and elegant, a profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, gazing toward the future, and his beloved Monticello on the reverse, a symbol of classical beauty and personal legacy. Few people at the time gave these small coins a second thought. They were tools of commerce, fragments of everyday life, a background note in the symphony of daily existence. And yet, years later, collectors and dreamers began to look at these same coins in a dramatically different light. Because while most 1962 Jefferson nickels were spent, worn, and eventually lost in the mist of time, a remarkable few survived with their details astonishingly intact. as though untouched by the decades that claimed most of their companions. These survivors, bright, crisp, and exquisitely preserved, became objects of intense fascination. To the untrained eye, they might still look like ordinary coins, but under careful examination, they reveal a kind of quiet brilliance that hints at stories far beyond their face value. In the world of rare coin collecting, condition is king. A coin that shows signs of wears like a well-read book whose cover has softened with age, still a treasure, but worn. But a coin that retains its original surfaces, its crisp edges, and its full, vibrant relief is like a perfectly preserved manuscript hidden in an ancient library. Rare, precious, and deeply meaningful. For the 1962 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark, those rare survivors that have endured nearly 6 decades without significance are among the most sought-after pieces in the entire series. But the story does not end with mere survival, because within this realm of rare survivors, there are legends, stories whispered by collectors at coin shows, told over cups of coffee and shared in online forums with hushed excitement, about certain spectacular examples that seem to defy belief. These are coins so perfectly preserved, so astonishingly vibrant in their original condition, that they jump off a table and capture the imagination at first glance. In the numismatic community, these are described with reverence. Coins that seem almost frozen in time, preserving the moment of their creation with an integrity that most coins lose within years of circulation. Imagine finding such a coin, not in a glossy display case at a major auction house, but in something far more mundane. An old shoe box in your attic, a dusty drawer in a long-forgotten desk, a tin of coins that your grandparents set aside more than half a century ago. You brush off the decades of grime, and in the fading light, you see a quiet gleam. The date is 1962. There is no mint mark. At first, it seems ordinary, but then you notice something. A brilliance, a depth to the surface that seems to whisper of untouched years, of quiet preservation. Your heart quickens. Could this be one of those rare survivors? Could this humble, knobby piece of metal be something far more precious than you ever imagined? Because inside every coin that survives in exceptional condition, there is not just metal. There is history, artistry, and a bridge to a moment that is long gone but not forgotten. A coin like this tells 1,000 stories. The press that struck it, the hand that first held it, the transactions it witnessed, the decades it silently endured. And for collectors who understand these tales, such a coin is not just a collectible. It is a treasure, a piece of living history with the power to stir the soul. Now imagine a moment when such a coin enters a marketplace. Professional grading services exist to evaluate coins with extreme precision, assessing every tiny detail under magnification. The sharpness of Jefferson's profile, the smoothness of the fields, the brilliance that survives decades after minting. When a 1962 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel is submitted for grading and receives a top rating, it enters a realm of desirability that can significantly elevate its monetary value. Because collectors, both seasoned and passionate newcomers, compete fiercely for coins that represent the very best of what time has preserved. At auction, these moments are nothing short of electric. The room hums with quiet intensity as the coin is revealed under glass. The auctioneer's voice fills the air, and bidders raise their paddles. Every raise is more than a number. It is a heartbeat, a dream, a declaration that someone believes a small coin is worth owning. Bids climb, sometimes rapidly, and the final hammer price can astonish even seasoned collectors. This is the realm where ordinary changes into extraordinary, where a coin originally meant to buy a cup of coffee becomes a symbol of legacy, rarity, and yes, even wealth. Collectors often talk about how particular specimens seem to speak to them, not in words, but in presence. A coin in incredible condition has a way of drawing the eye and holding it, as if insisting to be noticed. The way light dances on its surface, the quiet echo it emits when tilted in the hand. These subtle sensations are what experts call eye appeal, and they can make the difference between a common coin and a market-turning collectible. For most people, a 1962 Jefferson nickel is just another piece of metal. But for the passionate few who understand the nuances of rarity, condition, and history, a superb no-mint mark 1962 can be the coin that defines a collection, anchors a legacy, or even changes a life. There are stories, not every day, but still enough to keep the dream alive, of rare coins bringing astonishing prices when they finally find their way to the right collector at the right moment. Of course, it's important to remember that not every 1962 nickel is a hidden treasure. Most of them were used in everyday transactions, accumulated wear from pocket to pocket, and today are valued at modest premiums as nostalgic keepsakes. Dirt, scratches, and signs of circulation are not indicators of astronomical value. In fact, severe wear typically lowers a coin's collectible appeal. Real value lies in those rare survivors whose surfaces remain remarkably untouched, whose details are still sharp, whose brilliance has somehow endured. Yet the idea that such a coin could exist, that one of these quiet survivors could be sitting unnoticed in someone's pocket change, fuels dreams. It drives collectors to search rolls, to examine old change jars, to explore family inheritances, to sift through forgotten containers with magnifying glasses and hearts pounding with hope. The possibility, no matter how slim,